fat boobs hanging down makes me so disgusted. I just wanna shout, you're fat, so crap, you're fat.
I want to make this film about obesity because something that I think about every day affects me every day, and I see it affecting everyone around me.
The average person in Western countries is 20 pounds heavier and about half an inch taller than they were a generation ago.
Now I look around and there are a lot of people that are big. So I don't know if it's normal to be thin or is it normal to be big?
They look at us like a mirror to the future. Like if they don't not eat the chips and the candy, they might end up like us.
Fat hatred or fat oppression is a symptom of a society that really is afraid of difference.
I certainly suffer from depression. I certainly suffered with wanting to commit suicide directly from being fat.
Prejudice based on body size is often based on the notion that we can judge a person's character and value by something that we see.
If you have no control over yourself, you deserve everything you get.
When you hear someone making fun of fat people, don't think that they don't mean you.
But they're not talking about me. They're talking about the really fat people.
No, they mean you.
You see people walking around defeated, and there's too many days where I've been defeated, which is why I've decided to make a drastic change and have a lap band and commit to losing 100 pounds.
Once you're overweight and once you're obese, basically it's the point of no return. Your body's not going to let you lose that fat anymore. It becomes part of your body.
This can happen to you so easily. Have 2 kids, one after the other, and work full time, and this will be you.
Why are you killing yourself just gorging on everything like some ravenous creature that can't control itself? You're like a freaking animal.
I've known Linnea all my life, and she hasn't always been fat. In fact, I was always jealous of her girly, skinny figure when we were little girls.
Most of my life, I've been quite thin. Thin to the point of being teased during childhood. Thin and chesty during teen years, and then curvy in my 20s. And most of the time, I had the kind of body people envied.
And always stayed thin until really about when she had children.
Having kids and gaining 100 pounds has been really difficult for me. I didn't realize how much I relied on my physical presence to garner respect, attention, all kinds of privilege, basically. People talk about white privilege. I had thin privilege my whole life.
What is it about thin folks that never evoke questions of health or questions of beauty or questions of validity?
I think this world wants me fat. I think the world wants me fat so it can feel slim in comparison. The world wants me fat so it can sell me diet pills and abdominalizers and thigh masters and thongs and then saline implants for the breasts I will lose on the quest to becoming desirable.
It's a thin finger being pointed at fat people constantly and saying, shape up, you better shape up. I think it's a new kind of hate speech and people should see it as such.
It is pretty clear that modern Westerners tend to associate a thin body with popularity, with intelligence, with self-control. I've even seen some studies where people have said that they associate fat bodies with oiliness and smelliness. So these prejudices clearly run deep.
She is not. Yeah, she is. She's a little bit fat today, and I don't care if people are fat or not.
I think I've been addicted to food and alcohol and pleasure and being a sensualist. And it's like, okay, if you don't take care of yourself, i.e. if you're not thin, then why should I take care of you? Why should I even be nice to you? You're not nice to yourself. You're doing this to yourself.
And then I bought these gloves so that I wouldn't pull any more hair, basically. It's been working pretty good, but I don't know. It's just not like I thought it would be.
Thank you for sharing, Danica. Communication can be such a powerful weapon against our compulsive behaviors. Who'd like to go next?
Hi, my name is Chelsea, and I'm a compulsive eater.
Hello, Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
I'm not finished. I'm also a hydration addict, an oxygen addict, and a compulsive sleeper, urinator, and defecator. I mean, I try to curb, to control these cravings I have, these unhealthy urges, and I can do it for a while. I mean, I cross my legs, I go for a walk, roll down the windows, listen to loud music. I mean, I try everything, but sooner or later, one way or another, eventually I just cave in. It's a compulsion. I mean, it's like I can't live without eating, sleeping, pooping, peeing, or breathing. Look at me. I'm breathing right now. Who comes to a meeting like this?
I'm really excited. I just arrived here at Hotel Lucerna in Mexico and getting ready to be picked up to go to the clinic.
Yes, I will be your doctor today. Keep ándele arriba, let's go into the OR, operating room. This is what they actually expect here in Mexico.
It's hard to understand why to go to that kind of extreme when she's not in a situation where her health is like at immediate risk, she can't get out of bed, something really, really severe.
500 meters from the international border where US patients arrive and they cross over and suddenly they're in a very unique, very safe, very high quality environment where I can perform surgery without having somebody else telling me how to do things.
Nice to meet you, honey.
This simple procedure, unique procedure, takes very little time. It's a small little ring around the stomach. It squeezes the stomach. Patients eat less and they lose weight.
Obesity is a scientific term referring to a body mass index, or a BMI, of greater than 30, which is to say just weight adjusted for height.
Okay, so you're here, 32 BMI, you are obese.
The one thing that I would tell Linnea would be to be super aware of her nutritional balance while she's going through this process. And really, really pay attention to her body just as much as if she was pregnant or doing anything else that was really important.
We're gonna go through some post-op instructions. Whatever you do, it's 21 days of liquids no matter what. If you can't drink it, don't have it.
And I have a lot of misgivings about weight loss through starvation, which is what, she's setting herself up for.
Peeing is when you spit out the food just like a baby. This is like a baby's stomach. When you overfeed a baby, the baby spits out the milk. Right. Because their stomach can't handle it. It's the same here. Peeing eventually will make the band slip. So avoid it.
Take a deep breath, hold it, place your mouth with your lips covering this pipe, and you're going to blow hard and keep going for 6 seconds. Keep going, 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 keep going. 3, 2, 1, 0. Perfect.
There's also an additional hazard of lap band surgery is that the band cuts into the stomach. It cuts off its blood supply, and the stomach tissue can die underneath.
It's a simple test. We check your electricity of your heart.
I had them.
You have a heart like a teenager. All right.
I'm all fabbed up for surgery.
Yes, you are. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you nervous?
Only a little.
Weight loss surgery and dieting, go for it. I diet up and down all the time. When I'm feeling the mood like I need to lose 20 pounds, I'm gonna do it. If you wanna have surgery, do it. Whatever makes you feel good about yourself.
I ended up checking myself into a psych ward, trying to check myself into a psych ward as suicidal because I hated myself and I didn't feel like I could live.
Good morning.
Hi.
Annie, I'm Dr. Ortiz.
Linnea.
Linnea, it's a pleasure meeting you. So how much weight do you want to lose?
Minimum 60 pounds.
We are going to diminish your eating volume down to a third. So this following year, you're going to eat a third of what you ate last year. Will that get you to your weight loss goal?
Absolutely.
Most probably will.
My goal, my real goal, I want to be thinner than my sisters. So tired of being 96 pounds of fat, as Gabriella told me. And I'm going to feel like myself and like I belong and like I'm me. So it's always there. Those 96 pounds, like a cloud over my life. And I can't wait for the cloud to be lifted. This couldn't happen soon enough for me.
And surgery is over. You have your band right now, okay?
An excess of energy in and decreased output of the energy creates great reserves in the body. And these basically are fat reserves.
Not enough output of caloric intake. The other is too much input.
How much calories you burn versus how much you intake. It's as simple as that.
We've been told that it's all about how many calories our bodies need to survive. This is disassociation with our bodies. This is making some real radical assumptions like we're cars and we all just need gas.
And with that, we start the Health at Every Size show with Dr. Peggy Elam. That's me. I'm a clinical psychologist in Nashville, Tennessee. I like to talk about the calories in minus calories out equation as being too simplistic, because the real equation is more like calculus, with multiple variables and functions and whatever, and also plenty, in my opinion, of unknown, variables.
My weight has to do with a couple of things. First being depression, and second being childbearing and changes of life. Third being society, a culture of fast food and junk food and sweet food, which leads to the final reason, which is addiction.
Why am I fat? I wish I had an answer for that. I sometimes think that I could come up for a reason for every pound.
Weight is very similar to height in being very genetically determined. It's very hard to get out of one's genetically determined height or weight range.
Going on to other factors that contribute to weight. Not getting enough sleep, for instance, can cause an increase in the hormone ghrelin and a decrease in the hormone leptin, both of which can result in increased hunger and appetite.
I am fat. I'm the fattest I've ever been now, and I think I've created it. And oddly, I don't think I was fat to begin with. I think I was large, but I think I was well proportioned. And I think that people keep telling me I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. Now I am fat. I've taken that in, and I've really created that.
Weight gain is caused by many psychiatric drugs like antidepressants, antipsychotics, and mood stabilizers, and also is caused by anticonvulsants, antidiabetics, antihypertensives, steroid hormones and contraceptives, antihistamines, and protease inhibitors. So there are all types of prescription medications that have side effects of weight gain.
There's some people that have the hypothyroidism. They can have the tumors on the pituitary gland. They could be on steroids. You never know what someone is going through.
Our average population is getting older. Think of that whole baby boom generation. You know, that whole, big bloop in the bell curve. It's moved, on as the baby boomers have gotten older. Well, it is natural for people to gain weight as they get older.
I'm postmenopausal, which automatically, as your body changes and you go through those hormonal changes, you have more of a tendency to gain weight. Most women do, but not all women.
Another factor that is associated with weight, and particularly, so to speak, obesity, is food insecurity. Food insecure households or people like those where they don't know for sure when their next meal is going to be or what good quality is going to be. You see that in a lot of impoverished households, but also you can find that in people who are chronic dieters.
I believe that I'm fat for several reasons. One is that I believe that I have a real serious problem with sugar. It's almost like an addiction where if I eat it, I want more and more and more until I'm sick, like I'm a little kid.
These are causing an enormous amount of calories that are coming in that 30 years ago we just didn't snack the way that we do now.
I was really pleased with how minimal the whole surgery experience was and how quick a recovery.
Just got something stuck.
But my wounds are already quite healed, as you can see.
If more than a small amount is eaten or many foods, especially meat, is eaten, there may be a reversal of fortune, and it can lead to nutritional deficiencies.
One of the major benefits of the lap band is that it is for life, because I feel confident that the changes that are already occurring are forever, for my whole life, and that gives me a lot of confidence to move forward.
Anybody who assumes that Westerners are less physically active than they were in the past is relying on a cultural stereotype of the modern, lazy, decadent Westerner. And that stereotype is simply not borne out by the research literature.
So lifestyle and nutrition affects fat basically by choices, by your food choices and by your choices of activities you do.
The idea that you can lose lots of weight through physical activity and dieting is a moral bias, which says that fat people are fat purely because of their behaviour. And in fact, some obesity researchers now are walking away from the idea that increased obesity levels in Western countries has anything to do with physical activity, and it really can be just explained through changes in the diet.
If we really looked at what people ate, and we didn't look at it from a perspective of blame, but as culturally and socially what's available, we would start to see that the blame rests a lot more on the people who get to choose what food there is and the people providing information, because the information is so bad and there is so much misinformation that most generally intelligent people that would be trying to eat right would be failing every single day.
Do you, whatever that is, to make yourself feel good about yourself and still face a world that hates you.
She's so fat.
Like she needs to eat.
Look at her fat ass. God, I know. Oh, she's so disgusting.
Gross. So fat. That is just disgusting. Serious? Yeah, oh my god.
Fat hatred is inexorably tied to racism, to sexism, to classism, for a number of reasons. Perhaps the biggest reason is because the highest rates of obesity tend to be among people who are minorities, among the poor, and among women. And these are also the most disempowered elements of society.
They're also discriminated against in education, in employment, in income.
I would rather die than look like that or act like that.
That is so disgusting. Don't you feel guilty? I've worked with them to sort of try and delete these hate groups, but basically saying, fat people suck, let's kill them off. I mean, literally, like, that's not acceptable to pick a group and say, let's kill them, we don't like them. They're an eyesore. But those groups are all over the place.
In the United States, the women who bear the biggest brunt of weight discrimination are white women, far more so than either women who are in minority groups or men.
I think there's so much fat prejudice in America right now because I think that people don't like to look at fat people. Honestly, I don't think I like to look at fat people.
Shake it if you got it, grind it if not. We like a lot of booty, so show us what you got to the ghetto booty bunga. The ghetto booty bunga.
The only thing that bothers me is eating bread, which I don't think is a very healthy food in the first place, but, you know, I kind of gag on it.
That means I throw up.
I don't think the lap band will negatively affect my life. I've heard that most people within a year after getting it pretty much change their habits and forget they even have it.
You know, at the end of the day, right, if you overeat and you don't take account of what you're eating, you know, you're going to end up just looking disgusting, you know, and not taking care of your body.
Disgust, contempt, hatred, sure, they're part of a kind of a group, a family of sentiments by which we register disapproval, hostility. Disgust is a very powerful moral sentiment.
In the straight community, you call them BBWs, SSBBWs, supersized big beautiful women, or BHM, big handsome man. We don't use that terminology. We use chub and chaser, chubby chaser.
I mean, disgust is a way we kind of police our boundaries, our own boundaries, and we police our boundaries between ourselves and others.
I like supersized guys. I tend to like guys between 350 and up. You can't be too fat for me as far as I'm concerned.
So the standard, our word disgust, means that which is offensive to the taste. I think smells probably beat out taste, and certainly sights.
That's revolting.
One patient told me other people didn't even touch her, as if they were disgusted with her obesity. Then I got it. These people have been outcast.
That's a very useful sentiment. It does a lot of good work. It keeps us well socialized for the most part, because we do not want to trigger disgust in others.
When I found out that Linnea was going to get her lap band, I was a little surprised because I don't think Linnea is heavy. Linnea looks like a normal-sized person to me, and that may sound crazy, but I envy her, and I wish I were her size.
The name of this poem is Illumination. In the bright white light of the dressing room, I look down at my dimpled knees and thighs, and suddenly I am a child again, looking up at my mother's billowy white body brushed with bedroom shadow as she changes clothes. I could have seen you as a goddess, fertile and growing, strong-limbed and willed, but you felt you took up too much space in the world. Told to condense, not expand, you struggled to contain your abundance. What you felt of yourself, Mother, you passed on to me. If only we had known that limiting the body bound the spirit instead. Oh, what could we have become? What could we still be?
Well, my medical approach to treating overweight or obesity is multi-pronged. So the first is to assess what that person's individual biggest problems are, which if it's from a standpoint of food choices, the standpoint of emotions, the standpoint of biochemical, because they all are part of the mystery of the weight issue. We tune the little squeaky sound. The squeak sound is actually an electrodermal feedback from your body. And there's one for stomach, which is pretty good. So considering you had that procedure, that's a good sign. So
intellectually, I know, how much I should be eating, and I still go over that.
You are too fat, yes. You are technically obese. Just by my eyeball guess would be probably 30 to 40 pounds would be kind of a starting point.
Losing weight was so easy at first, but now I feel like I've hit a plateau. I can't lose anymore.
Well, have you considered amputation?
What?
Amputation.
Excuse me? No, seriously, I mean, each of your legs is what, like 60 pounds? What's your goal weight? That's insane. I mean, do you want to weigh 120 pounds or not? Of course I do, but I think you need to get serious about this. How much do you think my arms weigh?
It's like a cancer or some sort of communicable disease that everybody can see and nobody wants to get. And everybody's afraid that they're gonna get it.
You're just a slob. You're lazy. You're stupid. You have no control over yourself. You're disgusting.
Skinny people don't like fat people because they're way too big and fat.
I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm disgusting, I'm unworthy, nobody loves me, nobody wants me, I'm undesirable.
I don't want to play with you because you're too fat.
I came home every day on the school bus crying, asking my parents, why do they hate me? I just want to live my life, I just want to go to school, I want to have fun, and they make fun of me every day, every single day.
You just have to gorge and take everything. You're the most greedy people, so selfish. It's just vile.
Really, I just felt very closed down. I think tend to go into that place where you're just kind of blocking everything out.
I would curl up in a ball and cry or be depressed, never leave my house.
I don't feel like I've had a life like everybody else has had a life. Certainly not the same life as everybody's had.
God, you've gone really ugly. Now, ugly, that's what really gets you, because you may still have a pretty face, but is he fat and is he ugly?
My mother was the one who was like, your husband's going to leave you because you're so fat and you're so ugly.
I don't know if women as a group look down on each other more if they're overweight. That seems to be my experience. I don't see guys talking about other guys' weight behind their back.
I think somehow that society feels like it's okay, or it's not, that it's harmless to make jokes about the fat person, like we don't really exist. So we're the biggest thing in the room, but we don't really exist, so it's okay to make fun of the pink elephant.
Go on a fucking diet, you fat bitch!
So somebody the other day yells at me from a car or whatever, you know, keep eating away, fatty, and you're gonna die. Okay, like being thin is gonna make you immortal? And I'm on my way to a dance rehearsal, okay? So, I mean, it's like the absurdity of that, the absurdity.
It is acceptable to make fun of fat people, but also not acceptable at the same time. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I think it's cruel to do that, but sometimes you've got to be mean to get a point across to somebody.
That's the reason it's an acceptable form of prejudice, is because if you see somebody of a minority or you see somebody with a handicap, then you think, well, you can't make fun of them. It's not their fault. They can't do anything about it.
You know, you don't just wake up one day fat. I mean, you see it coming, right? You could stop it if you wanted to.
So there's that stigma that comes with it, like, because you know, it's in your control, then you should change it. And the fact that you haven't, it reflects upon you.
If you're gonna act like that, if you're gonna behave like that, if you have no control over yourself, you deserve everything you get.
Because we sure don't treat, like, heroin addicts like this. We don't treat anorexic women like this, and that's the opposite side of the coin, you know. We wouldn't do it to alcoholics. We wouldn't do it to people with cancer. We wouldn't do it with people with AIDS.
That hatred of fat people is really about, oh, I would never let myself become like that. Well, like what? What have you made that mean? And what is it you're really fearing through your hatred of these people?
If someone's, you know, just had like a third arm, wouldn't you stare? I mean, it's not normal.
Those people are projecting their own fears on toward other people. They're afraid of their own appetites. They're afraid of their own sense of losing control.
If anybody would accept me for who I am, it would be my family. And when I wasn't accepted by my twin, of all people, it really hurt, and I could not get close to him.
But if you're walking around going, oh, woe is me, then everyone else sees that, and they're going to pick on that. You know, I never walked around like that.
You know, it's people like you who don't leave any of the food for people, little children in Africa.
Well, leave me alone then. Don't talk to me. If everybody pretty much said that to a lot of times, to those people, instead of crying or feeling bad or feeling sad, and it will stop a lot of people in their tracks.
I think the prejudice does. It blocks our that seed of self-acceptance, that part of us that's innate, that we should enjoy ourselves and love ourselves as we are, because I think as we are is perfect. That's really what it is, you know? That's the secret.
Unfortunately, there are many people, including, unfortunately, some health professionals, who think that shame is a good motivator.
But for some reason, that was one of the most hurtful things, and it was designed to wake me up. Oh, you're fat. As if that's going to make me do something about it because I'm hurting.
And most clinicians, like myself, will tell you that shame actually has negative repercussions for physical and emotional health.
Fat hate is one of the only forms of prejudice where the people who are subjected to it feel that they're getting exactly what they deserve. You deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. You deserve to be happy.
And what I realized was true for me was that I was believing a fallacy, and the fallacy was that I was too fat and it was my fault and it made me a bad person. Once I discovered that I was believing this lie about myself, I just felt free of like almost every single fear I've ever had in my entire life. It was the most like amazing sort of spiritual moment, and I was like just high.
Fills are adjustments of a band that are needed to get to your optimum restriction in order for you to have the band working.
After I get the fill, that's when the lap band really goes to work, because that's when it's reducing how much you can eat. It's not just healing in place, it's there, activated. So I'll change. And that's so much of what life is about to me is, you know, change or die. And for me, like, reducing how much food is just breaking another bond, another, you know, requirement that my mind has for me. And it's helping me be stronger.
You're gonna see the barium shadow flowing through the band. You see that? That's it.
Okay. Well, it was really interesting and reassuring seeing my stomach with the band and knowing that everything's intact and fine, and appreciate that.
No, it's fine. Your stomach, it's fine.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.
About a week after getting my first fill, I started to feel uncomfortable swallowing food, and I got food stuck.
I wouldn't say that I'm dieting. I have been exercising for about 5 months now, almost 6 months.
With the band, the food is revealing itself for what it is. You know, the enemy.
Oddly enough, I have lost about 20 pounds since we started making this movie. And I think that's sort of ironic because I have really been not making so much of an effort to try to lose weight.
I've thought that anorexics, you know, have some secret. How can they do that? How can they, you know, eat food and throw it up? It seemed kind of glamorous, I guess, to be able to do that.
Guess how much weight I lost already?
5 pounds.
10.
See, I told you this is better than South Beach.
I know. I can still eat whatever I want and not be a cow. It's awesome.
A 100 years ago, fatness was actually a sign of wealth and prosperity, and that was because there wasn't necessarily a lot of food that was available. And so anybody who was corpulent was probably to be envied because that means that they had access to a lot of food. Once you had the industrialization of the food supply and food became a lot more readily available, that began to shift, and there became a different standard, which was self-control, so that even though you were surrounded now by plentiful food, you would somehow or another be unaffected by it.
And so body weight and body size has become the target of our anxiety around consumption and affluence. And in the 20th century, we saw idealized body shapes get thinner and thinner for men and for women at the same time as Western cultures were becoming more affluent.
Fat people and obesity has become one of the most common scapegoats in our society. For people on the right, obesity is a sign of our moral decay and our degeneration, and the fact that, that, for example, that poor people are so much more fat, typifies the reasons that they're poor and that they should, are not deserving of social assistance because they can't control their own impulses. And for people on the left, our growing weight and obesity is a sign of corporate America run amok, that McDonald's and Coca-Cola are controlling the way that we eat, fattening us up. And then for people in the middle class and the upper middle class, it's a convenient mechanism for them to be social snobs and feel socially superior.
The woman who is able to get a personal trainer, who's able to get the best quality food, is the wealthy woman. And therefore, a body that has defined musculature is like wearing diamonds in this culture.
Being black and fat in America, no, it's actually a triple whammy. I'm black female, that's 2, and then to be fat, oh my God, now I have a pack of Oreos under this arm, a screaming kid under this arm, and being pulled over by the cops.
But for men, they're like, oh shit, she's thick. Oh, did I cuss? Can I cuss? Okay. They're like, oh, she's thick. They like that, you know.
Well, there have been increases in weight in all groups, but it's disproportionately affected minorities, particularly blacks and Hispanics.
It's what we're attracted to, I guess. We're not attracted to the skinny, wave-type woman.
It's not a big deal. It's like, you know, just some extra to love on.
How much our growing weight is also a change or signifies our increasing racial diversity in the United States. And that as you see more fat people, are we also seeing more people of color who also tend to be heavier? And is it, you know, does it signify the movement away from this white Anglo-Protestant ideal?
Chubby in the puppy, but my hubby say he like it real good, real fine. I'm a little thick in the hip, but he gets a better grip, and ooh, I like it when he's mine.
The best thing about being fat is that you know that your boyfriends like you because they like big women and they like you. And I've never really been that worried that my boyfriend was only in it for the sex or my boobs or something like that. And that's kind of a nice thing.
Out of my whole life, I'm 47, best sex life of my whole life. Better than my 20s, better than anybody. And that's because he loves me for who I am. And I feel totally comfortable with him. You know?
Sex isn't an issue with being fat. And a lot of people prefer it because fat women are softer. They can really often take way more abuse in a sort of a pounding.
Anybody out there who don't like big girls, try it. Try it first. It's just like eating a new food that you haven't, had. You need to try it first. Bite into it. It's chunky loving.
The other chaser taste would be guys like me, who really appreciate supersize, who appreciate blubber, who appreciate folds and everything that goes along with that.
Known Dad for almost 4 years, so we've been friends with benefits. From pretty much that moment.
Cliff has this amazing shape. He has this gorgeous ass. He has this beautiful face. He has this amazing body. And then you have to mop up my drool. Let's talk about the foreplay and talk about touching their skin and how much the touch and the skin plays a part in the eroticism of that person. Now imagine my case where what you've just sort of taken yourself through is magnified 3, 4, 5, 6 times, where there's so much more of what you've just presenced for yourself. There's just so much beauty. It's spectacular.
More to love, the tons of us around the world. More to love, more sugar in the shack booty, in the back, food up on the rack, and more to love,
Well, there's a common misconception, and I've even heard some doctors espouse this belief, that if someone weighs twice as much as somebody else, they must eat twice as much. And that's simply not true. The fat stores are like a warehouse. You don't need to keep putting goods into a warehouse to keep it full. You put things in, they stay there, and it stays full.
You're here because you can't stop breathing?
Right. Or eating, drinking, pooping, and peeing. Or sleeping. I always have to sleep.
We all have to do those things.
And that's why you're here, right?
I wash my hands so frequently that they bleed. I'm here because I pull my hair from my head by the handfuls.
I'm just here to facilitate these.
I attend these meetings via satellite because I can't bring myself to leave my home, and you can't stop eating?
Or pooping and peeing, but especially the eating. Sometimes I do it like 3 times a day. Well, do you hide food? Oh yeah, like in the cupboards, in the kitchen. There's a lot of it in the refrigerator. How much would you say that you're eating at one time? Oh God, like a whole plate full? Fat people don't eat any differently than thin people do. Some fat people eat a lot, some eat very little, and lots and lots of us eat moderately. Just like thin people.
Perversely, I'm really enjoying the weight loss. Whenever I go to the gym, I've always lost half a pound every time. And I go to the gym about 3 times a week. So I'm losing about 1.5 pounds a week.
Why are you vomiting, Mommy? It makes me feel bad.
And my diet change is very simple. It's just really trying to get it into more pure foods. And, you know, ideally maybe even something like veganism, but I'm just not prepared to go there yet because the more strict you become, the less you can interact with other people.
For the first time in my entire life, I'm starting to understand how people can get and maintain these eating disorders, because the power of ingesting food but not absorbing it is strangely consuming and addictive, and I finally get it. We're told to be healthy, and our idea of healthy is skinny. So we automatically, again, assume that just because someone is overweight, that they're not healthy, that they have diabetes, they have heart disease, they have all these different things.
Being fat means that you're not healthy. First of all, it's a disease. So being obese has to be sick.
Fatness is a form of biological tissue. Anybody who calls fatness a disease is denying that basic biological fact.
It is a disease. It's now categorized as a disease.
But if you look at most medical textbooks, obesity does not meet the criteria of a disease, in that we don't have any good evidence that adiposity, i.e. excess fatty tissue by itself, is pathological.
Joint and back problems, heart problems, cholesterol, diabetes.
When we talk about it as a crisis and as an epidemic, a whole lot of money and energy and resources goes into trying to help people and to change people's lives who don't need to change.
One thing that I've written about is that there are actually health benefits of obesity. There are diseases that are less common in obese people.
You cannot be overweight and healthy. You can't.
Skinny does not mean healthy. Skinny to me means your metabolism is faster than mine.
Being overweight can be healthy under certain circumstances. Survival in settings such as the ICU, intensive care unit, is actually increased.
Obesity can be a good thing in a terminal disease, maybe like cancer, because you have a lot of adiposity tissue where the body can rely on. Versus if you were skinny, you know your body starts eating up itself real quick.
My mom going through cancer last winter, and she was very overweight when we started, and I kept thinking it was so lucky that she was so overweight because she had so much weight to lose without dying.
Last year I was diagnosed with a carcinoma on the base of my tongue, so I ended up losing 80 pounds in the course of 6 months, and I don't recommend it as a weight loss plan.
A BMI that is too low can be something that's detrimental to your health. BMIs that are beneath 18 actually have increased mortality and morbidity.
Now it seems that anytime something negative comes up regarding obesity, it becomes headline news. As a scientist, I know there's an equal or probably greater number of articles coming out saying that obesity is not so bad, or in some cases obesity is beneficial, and they're not getting any media reports at all.
I'm not saying we should all be sitting around patting ourselves on the back, cramming ourselves full of junk food with our sweatpants stapled to the sofa. Obviously, diet and exercise are vital. I am saying that if you do those things, eat right and exercise, and you still aren't thin, your life is not over.
You've got it!
My typical experience seeing a doctor is that they will blame everything on my weight, everything.
If you ask a fat person where they've received the most discrimination anywhere in society, they will probably tell you it's at their doctor's office. In a recent survey, 2/3 of American doctors said that they thought fat people were morally weak, and a quarter of nurses said that fat people repulsed them.
Many of them don't go to doctors when they could go early on because they just can't take another doctor saying, lose 50 or 100 pounds and you'll be fine, regardless of whether they come in for a sore throat or a sore toe. And many are unable to get health insurance in the first place.
I mean, literally, I can go in there for an earache and come out with, have you thought of weight loss surgery as an option? So, I mean, that is always like on their agenda.
Another common prejudice is, well, of course you're fine now, but wait 5 minutes. You could have a heart attack any second now. You're a ticking time bomb. And my idea is that maybe what's unhealthy is people telling you you're going to die every minute of the day. Maybe what's unhealthy is walking around being told you're a ticking time bomb. And maybe what's unhealthy is hating yourself. Maybe that causes a lot more problems than the actual number on the scale.
Yeah, you don't want to hear I'm in pain. You don't want to hear I'm in pain. You just won't own up to no blame.
Obesity scientists approach their subject with very deep moral and ideological biases, which shape their work.
And then when you add in that a lot of scientists are funded by people in the diet industry, then they have another bias, which is to justify, to legitimize fat hatred and to talk about the need to lose weight.
Obesity researchers start from the point of view that fatness is very bad for your health, and the research studies are now piling up which to cast doubt on that assumption. What I argue is that obesity is just a general run-of-the-mill public health problem, no more or less serious than back pain or many of the other middle-of-the-road health problems that we face.
I'm fat, and it's okay. It doesn't mean I'm stupid, or ugly, or lazy, or selfish. Fat! It's 3 little letters. What are you so afraid of?
How can you go through a process that makes it almost impossible to eat and get enough to eat? To be healthy, to be strong enough to live your life.
This is not about my health anymore. It's about the fetish of being thin and belonging to an exclusive world where the rich and beautiful and very talented congregate.
Women have been encouraged to, or maybe even unconsciously, may try to emulate the bodies of those who have the most power in our society, which is still pretty much men.
That's the kind of life that I'm more used to living, that I want to live, I've lost almost 30 pounds now, and I love it. I wake up every day happier than ever.
Hey, fat folks are a stigmatized group, and as such, we tend to earn a lot less money than our thinner counterparts.
I'm afraid that you're going to see even more employers concerned about employees' weight and therefore either not hiring fat employees or letting fat employees go.
Recently, I've been out of work. I went to a temp job, and I know that they fired me because I was fat, and there was no way in hell I could ever prove this, but...
The fat person, unless she lives in a few cities sprinkled throughout, or a couple of states in the U.S., will have no recourse. It is perfectly legal to say, hey, fatty, you're gross, hit the bricks.
I know you're gonna like it. I think I teach you how. It's not the funky chicken, more like the secret cow. Just take your big old backside and turn it around and round. Give up a little something, bend over just around to the ghetto booty banga. The ghetto booty banga. To the ghetto booty banga.
When you go shopping for clothes and you're a walnut and everything's for a sunflower seed, you just kind of feel like, I don't belong here, let me just disappear quietly.
Our world needs to change a little bit because the average person is not a size 5, 4, 6, or 12. The average person, the average woman in our society is a 14.
Plus size fashion could be incredibly important in helping with body prejudice. Once you start seeing someone in clothing that actually fits them.
Sometimes they squeeze all the way up to a 14. I wear an 18, at least. Sometimes 20. Often, dare I say it, triple X.
Linnea was my high school English teacher for my last 2 years, junior and senior year. And, we've also just developed a really good friendship. And so in a lot of ways, she's a role model to me.
Very happy to see the scale down to 185, 175. So it's been a big difference in my life, dropping between 30 and 40 pounds.
She's gorgeous. I think her body's lovely how it is, and she's got a great family and a wonderful career, and she's a good person. So I really look up to her, and for her to, in some ways, for her to have surgery, it's almost like losing the battle.
If you can't even lose weight, what can you do? You're certainly not going to go back to school or go on that vacation or look up that friend because you've lost the confidence.
She's losing the war against, being defiant about what society says she should look like, being defiant of who she really is.
Us moms, we want to be moms and career women, and we also want to be the sexy, gorgeous person we were before we had kids. We want to have it all, and the media tells us at every turn that we can and should, and anything less is failure.
And finding the easy shortcut is always a road. It's a dark road. It's never a rainbow at the end of the easy shortcut. And yet no one seems to see or know it.
Lose weight the natural way, with the vomit stick. Other diets are so restrictive. Carbs, proteins, fats, oils. Who can keep it all straight? Just eat it all and then get rid of it.
And once you have fat cells, they're yours for life. You can try to shrink them, but they don't go away, and they will resist this shrinking.
Wow, Sam, you look great. Have you lost weight? A little.
There's absolutely no evidence that there's any safe, permanent, effective way to lose weight and keep it off.
Well, there's a body weight set point, and that doesn't mean that your body weight is fixed, but there is a weight that your body will prefer to be at. So if you try to lose weight, your body will fight you. It will slow down its rate of metabolism. You won't feel well. Your brain will be constantly sending you signals to seek food.
Just about anybody can lose some weight, and some people do lose large amounts of weight. But almost all of them gain it back, and often more. And it's that kind of yo-yo weight loss and regain, which is medically and scientifically referred to as weight cycling. It's that weight cycling that is actually unhealthy for people, and maybe the cause of a lot of the problems that are attributed to fatness or, quote, obesity itself.
So it seems that losing and regaining a massive amount of weight, like 100 pounds, can shorten your life expectancy drastically.
These days, too many people are always dieting and trying to lose weight and just lose track of who they are as a person because they're too busy trying to appease society instead of just enjoying their own life.
Dieting? Ha! Listen to this. The International Journal of Obesity says that 95 to 98% of dieters who lose 75 pounds or more gain back every single pound within 3 years. 2/3 of them do it within that first year. 95 to 98% is all of them. Success is practically a freak occurrence. The secret to staying permanently slim? Choose 2 thin parents. Ideally, choose 4 thin grandparents as well.
Thinking about like binging and dieting. It was starting in 7th grade, and I would really try to not eat at all.
Dieting actually leads to binging. People who are chronic dieters are more likely to binge in response to food than are people who are not chronic dieters.
So I start to feel like I deserve something, and I'm feeling empty inside. And usually it doesn't have anything to do much with being hungry, although I would have to be hungry at the time. And often the hunger is induced from bad food choices for an entire day, or usually several days in a row, where I'm starting to become sort of depleted, and then I become emotionally depleted, and then something happens where I feel either very, very anxious or very, very lonely. And it's often about combining the things that are sweet and fatty to the point that I can tell of like maximum consumption, because any one of those things all by itself, a lot of it makes you sick too quickly. And you can't enjoy the rush of it, because the rush happens somewhere halfway in between. You start with the sugar, and then you eat the chips, and it sort of starts to last. So you just keep doing it until you so can't eat anymore because your stomach hurts, or you're just so sluggish, and eventually fall asleep. I just completely go into a coma. And when I wake up, I feel awful. It's like the worst feeling. And it's a lot like doing a really bad drug, but you keep forgetting that it's going to make you feel that way until you get to the end. Binging needs to be a secret, because that's the part where you're bad. I'm fat and I'm bad, and this is what's making me fat, and if anybody knew that I was doing this, then they would never feel sorry for me or feel like I couldn't help it, or I'm just big boned, or it's in my genes, or it's the food, or it's the part where you're really screwing up and you're the one that's hurting yourself.
A tapeworm will change your life. Just swallow one little intestinal parasite and watch the pounds melt away. Don't delay. Start losing weight today. Side effects may include blindness, seizures, neurological deficits, abdominal discomfort, diarrhea, and hydrocephalus, swelling of the head. Segments can crawl out of the anus. I've already lost 75 pounds.
I'm sure the paradox of this film is becoming obvious, that it's about weight loss, but it's not promoting weight loss. It's about a subject who does feel the benefits and appreciates the benefits of weight loss, but also feels that no one should have to do this to feel the way I feel.
You're jeopardizing your health to have an appearance that you feel is going to solve problems that it will never solve. No matter what happens with your body, you're always going to be Linnea. And no matter what you look like, you're still going to have to assert yourself if you want to be heard, and you're still going to have to listen if you want other people to listen to you. That will not change no matter what you look like. If you're a drop-dead, bombshell, gorgeous female, you have a whole nother set of problems. People won't listen to you at all then.
There's jokes, man. People got mad jokes about being fat.
In films, fat people are pretty much non-existent. There are the funny fat men, and there are the fat suit people.
I don't know why we find the humor. I guess because they're more jolly and bubbly, like Santa. We like them.
There's this one body ideal, and people who don't fit that ideal, you know, at least they can be funny to us.
You're so fat, you jump up in the air, you get stuck.
It's a mean funny, a there but for the grace of God go I funny.
When you're so fat, you sit in the back of the bus, it pops a wheelie, like.
So, you know, they're the circus freak. If someone's, you know, just had like a third arm, wouldn't you stare? I mean, it's not normal.
The disgusting is always right on the edge of a sick joke at the same time that it horrifies and sends you wanting to run away or throw up. It's also entertaining in kind of a perverse way.
I got into the clown scene because I was desperate to join the Cirque du Soleil, and so I started taking clown classes. I'm not having a midlife crisis by going into clowning. I do have a legitimate reason, although I guess there are no legitimate reasons for being a clown, so I forget that.
And they have to be funny. They have to make up their size with some sort of a personality.
I am. I'm putting my head in the lion's mouth. I'm sure when this video goes out, a lot of people will laugh at me, but you know what? I really don't care anymore, and it's quite liberating.
And that means talking about yourself and other people and your bodies and your fat cells yeah, with care and consideration and acceptance.
I learned a long time ago, if you like yourself, it really doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of you. If you learn to love yourself even more people then gravitate towards you because they see that part of you and want to be a part of that.
I don't necessarily want to be this size. I am at a bigger weight than I've ever been, but guess what? I'm going to love myself at this weight. I'm going to love myself at 200 pounds lighter, 100 pounds lighter.
We can't judge everything in the same way. We should just judge everything on its own terms, you know. And when you look at me or each human being like that, it kind of, beauty becomes a whole different thing.
So coming out of this whole project, what's really been just an amazing benefit for me is I just feel very comfortable in my body, and like we're more of a team.
Mommy is a bit happier about herself now. I'm happy when Mommy's happy.
People liked me for my looks, and I don't know how to be liked and how to like myself big.
She looks younger too, you know. I mean, I was totally against her having the surgery. I didn't think she needed the surgery, you know. It's like, hey, I met her like that. She was fine like that, but she says she's feeling good and she's definitely looking good. So I would say it was a success.
Fat hatred is enormously profitable. Whom does it benefit? Well, look at the $50-60 billion a year diet industry.
The political benefits for the war on obesity, I think, come from a number of sources. For entrepreneurial politicians, a war on obesity is a way of seeming like they're doing something about a very important social problem. For members of the public health establishment, for example, like the Centers for Disease Control, it's a way of expanding their bureaucratic mission and getting more funding from Congress or whatever legislative sources that they need to continue their organization's operations. For public health professionals and public health professors and schools of public health and public health researchers, it's a way of finding a new public health problem, and then they can get grants to study more and fund their own salaries. For weight loss doctors, a war on obesity suddenly legitimizes what they're doing, so it's no longer a cosmetic pursuit that they're following, but in fact a medical pursuit. And this goes especially for pharmaceutical companies who are trying to market and sell weight loss drugs.
You pregnant?
Nope, just fat.
You pregnant?
No. Are you?
You pregnant?
No, but the night is young.
People feel very proud and excited and, you know, thrilled that I've taken this path. I've been really rewarded emotionally and socially for what I've done.
I've seen you since high school, sweetie. You look fantastic.
I'm getting all of the benefits that I thought I would get from losing the weight, and probably a little more.
You're like half your size. You look amazing. You look so good.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
How do you feel? How do you feel? What a change. Oh my God.
You look so beautiful. How did you do this? I'm so proud of you.
And now I can see that, you know, I wasn't ugly and I wasn't terrible. I wasn't disgusting. I was fine. But I couldn't see that. And most of the world couldn't see that.
Club bounce where the thing is cracking. Club bounce where the music bumping. Club bounce, big girls be rocking. Club bounce like mommy, what's happening? Club bounce where everything is cracking. Club bounce where the music bumping. Club bounce, big girls be rocking. Club bounce like mommy, what's happening?
Chubby chasers are cute and hot and sexy.
Are you one?
And I am one.
Well, the patrons come to Club Bounce because they feel accepted. They are not judged for their size. In fact, it's the opposite. They're desired, they're accepted, they're wanted.
I'm a pretty successful dude. I got a pretty good job. And the guys I hang around with, they ask me, why are you hanging out with a girl who doesn't shop in Juniors? And I say, because I like it. And my taste is not on trial. It's just not.
It's okay to like plus size women. It's okay to like larger women. It's not a fetish. You're not a weirdo. You don't have to have a title of a chubby chaser. You could just be a man who likes a real woman.
A big woman can be just as nice and treat a man just as good as a smaller woman. A smaller woman can treat somebody like a man like a dog. Just because they're smaller, you gonna stay with that? Come on now.
So
we're gonna go to the internet where I've heard there are sites for men who like larger women. And we're gonna ask them to kind of meet for a casting session and bring some pictures and resumes. And I'm gonna interview them and see where it goes from there. What drew you to the ad?
Well, I think it was how elegant and lovely you look.
Oh, why, thank you.
I want people to naturally either follow me for who I am as a person.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if I have $1 in my pocket or $1 million in my pocket. You know, I want to be treated the same way.
I could definitely see myself going out with him. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Chris.
Yep.
Right? Now, have you come against discrimination for liking larger women?
Yeah.
Yeah. Judge you, your friends, did they have a hard time for it?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of weird, As the last I did a training evolution, just with some other former military guys, and it's not a polite term, but oh, let's go hogging. It's a contest to see who could bring home the largest woman in the someone of the opposite sex in the bar. Usually it's men looking for the largest woman in the bar. To me, it was okay, fine with me, But
because you liked it.
Yeah. So to me, it was fun. Or it makes me feel bad in a way because I'm taking advantage of them.
Right.
When the false pretense is hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on tonight? Whatever. Their friends oh, this guy's cool. Whatever.
So what's gonna happen when this movie comes out? When you're busted. It is kind of difficult. The hogging story makes it very difficult.
I love the way your dress bounces off your skin as well, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Good color. Good color.
So now I'm speechless.
Oh, stop it.
I had very minimal relationships because I've been afraid of my weight.
It's not just the physical. It's got to be more there, too.
Right. No, I get you on that.
Especially if you're looking to build something serious.
Would you consider going out in the future sometime?
Definitely. I'd be open to it.
That'd be great. Well, we had an amazing date. Alex decided to have a little picnic and was up in the mountains with this beautiful stream. It was babbling brook. Perfect day. And he's so nice. He's so kind that I felt myself opening up a little bit. There's a very gentleness about his soul that comes across through his eyes, which are they're amazing. You can really get lost in those. He's really creative, and we kind of found this way of getting on top of a roof. And we were just taking pictures of each other and the skyline, and then we had our first kiss, and I discovered I really like kissing him. He's got amazing lips. And it was just beautiful. We got to watch the sunset, watch the skyline of Los Angeles. It was very romantic. So then I just decided to take a dare and take a chance, and we went back to my place, and he was just incredibly tender and gentle, and I really have never experienced anything like that. It was profound.
It's a really broad spectrum. It's not just someone who's obviously bigger than someone else. There's a lot of people that are about to kill themselves because they are a little bit bigger than Paris Hilton.
Every woman is so fraught with this struggle in herself, and all of your mental energy is going into that, then it takes you out of a lot of other things, other realms of power.
You'd have a sex life.
So I'm not sure we can ever get rid of that kind of competitiveness and judging each other. I don't think it's a bad thing either. It makes us want to be better than we are.
The idea that, there can be a wide range of beauty
or acceptable people worthy of dignity, you know, is something that people haven't quite caught on to yet.
We can't wait around for other people to start being okay to us. We've got to tell people how to treat us.
I'm not talking about other people being okay. I'm saying that we have to be okay. Because
Yeah.
we've been beat in our heads that we cannot be okay.
We need to expand our souls, and I think there's a whole lot of fat people out there who can use a whole lot more self-confidence. Stop putting life on hold. I'll go dancing when I can wear this dress again. I'll go to the Bahamas when I look good in a bathing suit. I'll get my wedding dress fitted as soon as I lose 30 pounds. No, now. It's all you've got.
I don't want my nieces to ever have to worry if a man is going to be attracted to them, if they should wear a bathing suit on the beach, if they should dance, if they should do anything to waste a minute of their life, because I have learned that that was really a waste.
One of the first things I'd recommend is to educate themselves by reading some fat positive books. People can join an organization that promotes size acceptance.
When the size acceptance movement really gets off the ground, you know, we're going to be talking about being fat like gay people talk about being queer.
And they have to make electoral change, they have to do direct action, they have to boycott. And so developing enough empowerment within the community that's most oppressed will eventually make that shift.
Just the same as being black, you know? You can't just pick something about someone that you don't like and that you have fear about and try to use it against them.
If we started actually prosecuting people who are sizist as making hate crimes, how quickly would that change?
And don't use being fat as an excuse. Holy crap, I'm good at that. They're not gonna hire me. I'm fat. They won't like me. I'm fat. That guy would never ask me out. I'm fat. As if that was the only thing that could possibly be wrong with me. How about I'm late all the time? How about I'm mean to people? I'm a bitch. I got this great big automatic built-in excuse. I never have to work on any other aspect of my personality. The only thing anyone could possibly have a problem with is the fact that I'm fat. And I'm also not giving people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this guy's not a weight bigot. Maybe he just doesn't talk to me because I look so zoned out all the time. Maybe he hates the band whose t-shirt I'm wearing. Maybe he just doesn't have anything interesting to say. I make this guy's failure to fall in love with me the fault of my fat. It's silly. Wastes so much time. So, I'm through with excuses. I am spreading the word. Fat is a descriptive physical characteristic. It's not an insult or an obscenity or a death sentence.
I haven't been this size since I was 16. So it can be confusing when, you know, my breasts are really hanging low and my stomach is very stretchy and, you know, flabby.
If you don't want to get naked when you're 300 pounds, you're not going to want to get naked at 150 pounds with skin hanging down. And I've seen it time and time again because they do complain about it.
But really, I've achieved what I've wanted to achieve in that I'm much more active. I am much more in the world, and I'm in the world with confidence and grace and as myself, and I like myself.
It's just so wonderful to be a dancer this kind of late in life and in career. I have an immense pride about what I can accomplish being still over 300 pounds today. My big one is I dance with RAID, which is Random Acts of Irreverent Dance. And we're a dance group that's getting a lot of attention in LA, primarily because RAID's premise is that everybody has the right to dance and everybody should be dancing.
I love my body. I am a heart. I am just the right size. I am a winner. No need to be thinner. I am taking first prize. I am healthy and very wealthy. I know that I am wise. No more denial. I'm through with life. It is time I realize.
Love this body, such a hottie. Looking so good. Love your body, such a hottie. Looking so fine. Love this body, such a hottie. Looking so good. Love your body, such a hottie. Looking so fine. I love my body like a Ferrari. My physique is straight unique. Stylish and handsome. Sexy and then some. Satisfaction.
Mom's happier now because she's skinnier. I don't know why being skinny makes her happy.
I never really understood what drove her to actually go through with the surgery, but I do understand it too, because I think as large women, I've been there myself. Like, you're ready to essentially sell your soul to the devil to require, the body, which will lead you to love.
I'm getting ready to have a baby is the newest thing with me. My pregnancy's been really normal, as far as I can tell, considering that it's my first time I've ever been pregnant.
So, since the last interview, my husband and I have separated, and it has a lot to do with me losing weight and rediscovering myself and feeling younger and feeling fitter and thinner, because I didn't feel like our relationship suited me anymore, physically or romantically.
There's no way to know if my child's going to be fat like I am when he grows up, or if he is not. And I feel totally great about however he ends up being.
I say that almost as a warning to women approaching this surgery, because it doesn't just change you physically, it changes you mentally. And in a lot of ways it brought me back to who I used to be, because now I'm dating someone who I dated in high school.
Everybody deserves a happy life. Everybody deserves to create the kind of family they want, whether they want to have children or not. Everybody can have this. The only thing preventing you from having it is your own belief system that there's something wrong with you.
My boyfriend is very thin, sort of rock star, movie star type appearance in my mind. I have been going out more instead of staying home with the kids more. I hope that for them, having a mom who's excited about herself in the end will be a good thing. But at times I feel guilty. They're having to compete with me as a whole person, as an entity, with friends and with confusing relationships.
I think you kids should just love your mom how she is.
I want you to think about who you were when you were 3, 4 years old, when you were able to delight in your body and enjoy food without any sense of inhibition, when you were able to move in your body without any sense of I'm not allowed to do that, or I can't do that, or I can't be seen doing that. When you are unself-conscious. And I'd like you to take that sense of yourself and hold it. And maybe take it by the hand and walk around with that sense of self for the rest of the day. And see if there's something that 3 or 4-year-old can teach you about how to be in your body today.
Just a woman on a mission, a woman on a mission, just a woman on a mission, she's a woman on a mission, a woman on a mission, just a woman on a mission, a woman on a mission.
I can sit in two minds, fantasize about mine, have the could, would, and all of the above, but through the mind, I can swallow the now and adopt the time and take this as a sign, rid myself of this earthly design. It's the TV, the bank rolls, the colleagues, they're funny, the workplace. The smiles, the handshakes, the stranger lows, the miles a man takes to show. Find my own life, searching for some action, searching for some action. It's a natural attraction, natural attraction. Looking for mine, searching for mine. See my life, see my life. Found it in some action, found it in some action. It's a natural attraction, natural attraction. They got me looking for mine, searching for mine. Have you seen my life?
Catch me if I fall. Woo!